If you feel like your cup of coffee isn't quite hitting the mark, you might make a small tweak to your grind size, and it could change everything. An easy rule of thumb is bigger grind size for slower brews, and smaller size for faster brews. Let's start out as fine as our grinder will go. This would be good for Turkish coffee and even some kinds of espresso. See how you can kind of press it together when it's this fine? And as we move a little coarser, this is what most espresso grinds would be in the range of. Get a little more coarse, and we're headed for better sizing for pour over. Right there in the middle spot between fine and medium. Right here in a medium grind is a good sweet spot for both drip brewing and for AeroPress. Get a little more towards the coarse side of things, and you're veering into French press territory. Because remember, the bigger the size, the slower the brew. And now that we're firmly in chunky territory, this is what you're looking for when you're cold brewing. Since cold brew takes between 12 and 24 hours to extract, you don't want it too fine or you'll end up with some gross, bitter sludge. Don't mind the chaff you see here, because it's not going to hurt your brew. I'm showing two different grind sizes for cold brew because if you're brewing for 12 hours, you want finer grounds, and if you're brewing for 24, you want the really coarse grounds. And while we're on the subject, we're using a burr grinder. It has these little grooves and cones so no coffee can escape, and so you end up with an even product, and that makes a more even brew. If you use a blade grinder like an old school coffee grinder, you're likely to end up with some big grinds and some small grinds, and your brew's just going to end up really inconsistent. So if you can get your grind right, you can end up with such good coffee. Hope this was helpful, and as always, happy roasting!